Welcome back to another Chats with Shaz, and today it's going to be very, very different because it was quite an impromptu sort of day. We got a phone call from the chief, and he has asked us to come and help him in removing some solar panels from a borehole pump that has been used to pump water for the cattle in the Kamusha of the community. These things have been stolen by people who are obviously needing some money, and in this time of COVID when jobs are difficult, it's been, people are starting to resort to this sort of stuff. So we just jumped in the car with my team from Mother Africa Trust to go and sort out what we could do to help the chief, and we came across one of the village heads, Dom. His name is Dom Dingani, who is actually the son of the chief. And I recall him from some time back where we have done some work together, and this is how it went. So I'm sitting here today with one of the village heads. He's actually related to the chief, Dominique Dingani. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Sharon.
Good. We've known each other a long time.
For a long time, yes.
And
we have assisted a lot. As you see, maybe you can still remember when you're doing the mother's shelter and you come to the school, you gave us the chairs and all this, and you gave an inspiring speech, which made some of our children start learning to see the reason of learning.
Well, I'm glad that's had its impact, but what I want to talk about today, more about, is what we've been doing here with this USAID pump that we're having a problem with. So I want you to explain to us, and especially the people who are listening, what challenges have we got, and with donor fatigue, and how do we bring together community and the stakeholders in conservation?
Yes, because it needs a lot of cooperation. As you know, the communities are people with different opinions living together. But putting them together to have one idea, it becomes very difficult because of a lot of backgrounds and a lot of what they get from themselves. Because some of them are poor, some are rich, some are medium, and so on. But now on this issue of solar panels to put water into the borehole, which is for deep tanks and drinking water during hot seasons, where it's the only one which is operational using solar panels. So once they are stolen, as it is now, they've been stolen. But we had been having people as security, but they have failed to maintain the security because of lack of funding to be paid, to pay them. So we need maybe to employ somebody generally. It was since the solars have been stolen, it would have been much better as communities who try to buy some solars, and we can get another stakeholders where we can move together and joint venture. So we better conserve together. Yeah. So how do we get together? We should be having to support one another when it comes to infrastructure developments. And we're talking about bombers to be there so that they can protect their livestock during nights. We have the solar which is there to pump water so that the cattle can drink perennial pumps. Yeah. So that's why it is very vital for us to have these stakeholders coming to us, because our aim is to reduce wildlife and human conflict.
Yes, so, which is a very big problem with conservation, and I think with conservation, it has to go hand in hand with community. So community has to understand the benefits of conservation as well. What would be your message to a donor, how we can sustainably get involved, because obviously at the moment we're having a lot of donor fatigue during this COVID era. So what would your message be to get involved and to help sustainably?
The donor is to mostly, I would want them to go 50-50 with the community, and it must not be like give. It must be a work together scenario.
So Dominica, another question I wanted to ask you, you're having challenges in the community. It's always a challenge to get communities buy-in on specific projects that donors will want to work with, and it needs to be sustainable. We can't have a project come in and they leave it there and they move out. You want the community, as you've just discussed, to be 50-50. So sometimes that's a challenge. So describe to us those challenges that you're having in trying to get the buy-in and the community to work with you and to appreciate and to utilize that particular project.
Yeah, I agree. What is most important is the donor and the community to first meet and have
an
MOU and understanding, and why is it a thing for the people,
the benefit,
or is just the donor coming to give the people.
Yeah.
So that issue of feeling that is your thing,
so doing a
or
needs
your property.
assessment.
Yes, you need a needs assessment, and people should be the one saying we want this.
Mm-hmm.
Once they want the kind of a thing, and you have got they are able to support it because they are knowing what they want. It's not a thing like we are going to give
Just
you
go and
this.
dump something
Yes,
there.
we're not
Yeah.
dump.
It's okay,
Appreciate, so they could appreciate it, so that they see, because people are different. Some people appreciate by seeing, some people appreciate by being told. But as we are talking about now, once the solars are gone, the people will start appreciating, seeing, definitely that thing is gone now.
It's gone,
And this was supposed to be assisting us.
Yeah.
And they can look back now. It means if it recomes again or in a similar project, people will see the reason. They will start working together and supporting that project.
Another thing that I wanted to speak to you about was our concession is just over here, and we're neighbours with you and your community. So, Dominique, explain to us how do we work together? Like we've been working together for a long time, but how do we make it better? And what is the benefit for both of us, the conservation side in tourism and the community that they're also benefiting?
And we as communities also, there's the issue of snares. As communities, to appreciate that on snares, it's them to see that these animals end up appreciate the stakeholders which are next to us. They should do something for the people so that they appreciate it in terms of we work together to protect the wildlife, one, and what are the communities getting from that wildlife, which is very important. Like we know benefiting like jobs. We're looking about their school fees, children learning, capacity building. So it's very important that the appreciation will grow from the youth, from the children. So the time when they grow up, when they reach my age, they've started from youth. So we can maintain the conservation. And we're saying the domestic animals and wildlife, they should be able to mingle in a way, in a managed way.
Yeah, I like that. So I think it's vital and an important point that Dominique has made is that this is a bigger global issue, especially here in Africa when we are supporting safaris. We want to show you the wildlife that we have in our country, and I'm talking about Zimbabwe, but not just Zimbabwe, we're talking about everywhere, all your safari destinations. There has to be that merging of community and conservation. You can't have these straight lines. In Africa, straight lines don't work. They have to be merged and they have to be a little bit intermingled.
Yeah, right? Yes, it has to be intermingled. But the communities should have that volunteer attitude. To volunteer to work in order to conserve. Whereby when you talk about fire quenching, when the fires are burning, they should come in. They have teams ready to finish the fires. When you come to snares, taking out snares, and people should start appreciating from this so that we don't have animals being snared within the parameters. Because mostly who's snaring? It will be the communities. It will be people from the community. But once they have that appreciation that the wildlife is bringing them something to live on, they've got their children in school, they're sending their children to school, they've got managers there working, being people from the community. So this is very important.
So we have to talk a little bit louder now because there's some cattle coming close by. But just before I finish off, I want to know, one last question is, how have you and your community survived this last year during this COVID time? Tell us the hardships that you guys have had to face when there's been, very little money. People have come back into the community because they've lost their jobs in town. Tell us more about that.
This one was a very serious challenge as far as I'm concerned, because mostly people here, they live on these safari operators. We have got people who are doing the crafts, arts and so forth. So there are
Yeah.
people within.
Yeah.
So
who benefit off tourism.
yes,
Yeah.
they benefit from. We have got these what you call village tours.
Yeah.
They come in, people they watch, and people have been getting that. And mostly the employees, they have been working on these operators, and so now they are not gaining any money. So it means the people in the community are poor. They've gone back to square one.
Yeah.
They've got nothing to sustain themselves because they need to buy food, they need to do that, and their children mostly who are working, they'll be having nothing. So it has been very hard. We've been hit very hard.
Take a picture of these cattle walking past here. If you can just scan across there, Mr. Cameraman. Look at the condition of these cattle. They're in great condition, and this has been probably the only benefit that we've had this year in 2020 coming into 2021 is the great rains, and we've had phenomenal rains in this area. So we're not complaining about that at all, and you can see by the condition of the cattle they're looking really fat. But yeah, in terms of everything else, economically, the villages have been suffering.
Yes, yeah, definitely. A lot, because cattle is something which you have to sell. Even if they are looking healthy, you need to sell them. Where do you sell them? There's nowhere to sell them.
Yeah.
And if you sell them at the butcher, who's going to buy the meat? There's no one.
No one's got the money.
It becomes a vicious, hard circle.
Yeah. So basically, people are suffering in the communities. The wood carvers, the trinket trade, people selling their artwork, not only here on the side of the roads between Hwange and Victoria Falls, but also in Victoria Falls town itself. There's a lot of curio markets there, and those people are just not seeing, the benefit of tourism anymore. So it's got a long ripple-on effect, not just as a hotel owner or a safari lodge owner.
Yeah, as individuals, it is really affecting a lot because by not having tourism now, it has really hit us very hard.
Yeah.
It has hit us very hard.
Thank you very much for talking to me today.
Okay, thank you.
It's great to see you.
Okay.
We hope that you enjoyed today's episode. It was very impromptu, and it just shows us a little bit more insight, or shows you guys more insight to what actually goes on between the community and us here in tourism. So if you like what we say and what we do, please follow us on our Instagram pages, on our Facebook and our YouTube channel. See you next time.